All right, we ready? And grab your bag and go. That's it. Move, move. Go, 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 go. One, Armani suits and run.
Manager to cash register. Manager to cash
All
register.
right. Week 16, Armani. Um, 2-3 last week. 36-39 overall. Um, Obviously the back half of this year has not gone the way that we had hoped. What I'm really interested to start monitoring is if we just end up in the exact same spot we've been in the last 2 years. Because we have finished with the exact same record the last 2 years, correct?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah,
Uh,
you know better than me.
43, 45, and 2 was last year. And I'm pretty sure that uh we were the exact same the year before. So 2 games below 500. Um, we are currently 3 games below
Do we have
500.
any pushes this year?
We do not have any pushes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it'll be interesting to see, obviously with the last few weeks how we net out and if we're able to break 500 or land at 500 or if we do in fact end up with the same number of total points. So just to recap the picks from last week. Kiernan hit with the Commanders. They were, I believe, plus 2.5 against the Giants. Nice comeback there. Took the win. I had the Panthers minus 2.5. I think they led 17-7 at the half. They were up 17-10 going into the fourth, and then it seemed like they just stopped playing football. Also had that critical unnecessary roughness that gave the Saints an extra 15 yards on on the QB run there at the end. They were on the kind of on the edge of field goal range, and that put them smack dab right in the middle of it. Nailed the kick, took the L. Bowen, you were on the pack. What was the final score of that game? I don't even
It got
remember.
out of hand like late, right? Or like
Yeah,
over a touchdown late, but it was like really close
yeah,
for the majority of the game with the
yeah,
Broncos, and then Broncos kind of pulled away.
yeah, yeah. Um, so that's where we landed on the individual picks. Just to give a recap of where we are with our best bets. Kieran, you're currently 9-6. I'm a game back of you at 8-7. And then Bowen, I know I texted this to the group chat. 5-10
Oh
overall.
my God,
Riding a 6-pick losing streak. Um,
it's not good.
need you to pull out of that.
It's been a bad rut. Been a bad
Yeah,
rut, to say the least.
came out of the gates hot.
Yeah, yeah.
You got your first two right. You nailed the Sunday night game both of the first 2 weeks. Got the Monday night game right in the second week.
I've been on a fucking tailspin ever since the Rams let the Eagles block that kick. I was gonna be like 4-0 or 5-0, I think, and then that happened, and I haven't been able to get myself right. It's been ugly. It's
Yeah, I mean,
been ugly.
it's like teams do in the NFL. You just got to be able to turn the page. It's like that shit happens week to week, and just got to put it behind you, block it out, and keep it going. But let's get off that hump this week. And then in terms of the primetime games, so we had the Vikings and the Cowboys. Vikings were 5.5 point dogs. Bowen and Kieran, you guys were on the Vikes. I was on the Cowboys. Very glad I didn't go with the Vikings because that would have been a Costanza, which is where we ended up on Monday night with the Steelers and the Dolphins. All three of us are on the Steelers. Um, and obviously, Tua and the Dolphins looked awful to the point that Tua has now been benched for Quinn Ewers. So in that case, the Costanza did not work. Costanza drops to 2-2 on the year. So that's where we are, 36-39 overall. Again, like very similar to position of where we've been the last couple of years. We're within striking distance of 500. Would be nice to finish there. Obviously not going to be in the money, for any of the prizes, but at this point, I think let's just finish strong and see if we can get over that 500 hump. That would be a nice building block for next year. So, any thoughts on week 15 or as we head into week 16?
Um, yeah, I just gotta say because we talked about it pre-show, and then you were just mentioning the Costanza rule there. Um, we gotta pick up the energy here. I mean, I gotta be honest, I'm looking at you a little bit differently right now. I can't believe that we lose one game. We're making 90 picks this year. We lose one game, and you guys were talking about, oh, it just really stings. I'm sorry we're not 37 and 38 now because we flipped our pick and stuck to our principles. Uh, the Costanza rule. We went from 2-1 to 2-2. You're already talking about abandoning the whole thing, something that's carried us through a year and a half so far. I don't think we're any worse off for flipping our picks. I mean, that's just like classic gambling brain right there, right? Yeah, everybody's on one thing. The public is stupid. We're public Joes. We're all taking this. We're all taking that. We flip it. We can't just abandon our principles because of one loss out of 90 games. Come on, let's tighten it up a little bit. Let's pick up the energy. Okay, we've been on a bad run for the last couple of weeks, right? We were, moving towards our best record, maybe looking at a positive record for the first time. We've lost that a little bit. I don't think that all of a sudden hanging our heads and suddenly questioning our strategy because of one game, one result. I don't think that's the direction that we want to go down.
No, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, we were 18 and 12 after after week 6, and we have gone 18 and 27. Um, which I think, yeah, I mean, basically we were hitting 66% and we completely flipped the script on its head and have been at 33% since. So, that's why we find ourselves where we are. But yeah, no, I think you had a good point too on the man Campbell, which is like I was going back looking at last year's sheet. So Costanza was 2-1 last year. Man Campbell was 4-1. And I think this year Man Campbell's 1-2, but the point you made is, we've abandoned the principles of how Man Campbell was originally intended to work, which was it wasn't an automatic lock. It was I believe it was like a lock to be on the wheel, and then we let the wheel speak. Unless we were in these moments where it was that like undoubtable trend, which is, the waxing crescent. That's one where we just auto lock that in. And then have we agreed like whether it's prime time or if it's like Lions coming off a loss, is that an auto or do we go?
If
Is
they're in prime time, then that's an automatic bid for that game.
yeah,
So if we were doing like a regular slate with no international game or anything,
yeah,
then that would be the pick in prime time, the same way that the Pats are the pick in prime time
yeah, yeah,
whenever they
yeah,
play there. But then, of course, if we were only fighting for one spot because of an international game or something,
yeah.
then we would just put it
Go
on
to
the
the
wheel
wheel.
and spin it. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, but yeah, like anything that it's like, the Lions in prime time, they have such a good record there, so that's just going to be the pick, especially because we were probably all going to lean that way anyways. So to avoid
yeah,
it
yeah,
stands the same way with the Pats,
yeah,
then we would just take them.
yeah,
But yeah, then if it's something like them off a loss or any other trend that we might find, then that would just make them, eligible.
yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Yeah, because I was just looking, I was trying to figure out. Like I think there was one example this year, and I'm trying to pull up their schedule just to verify, where we did go like just auto lock, but it wasn't necessarily it didn't meet the criteria, you know? Um,
But to get back to what I was saying, my point is Costanza's 5-4 lifetime.
yeah,
We lost last week, and that brought us down to 500. If we were losing at an
yeah,
exceptional rate because of it, then yeah, we can have a discussion. 500, around 500, we're truly no worse, going on either side. So I think
better
we just
than
got to
what we
stick
are
to the
overall.
classic betting principle of if we're all on the same side, there's probably something wrong with that. You can't let one game dictate, literally decades worth of betting trends.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean you're right. You're right. It's um yeah, it was Minnesota and Detroit in week 9. We went with a man Campbell, and there was absolutely no reason for it.
Yeah.
Like they were coming off a 24-9 win over the Bucks. It was a day game. They were at home. And it was not a waxing crescent moon because we won the waxing crescent moon.
Holly Campbell must have posted something that
You know
just
what? Wait, was that the Halloween game?
Yeah, I think it was around the holidays.
That might
Some
have been the Halloween game.
yeah.
Yeah, no, it was. It was the week of October 29th. So that was the game where we saw her posting him in a costume, and we took that as inspiration when what we should have done was looked at it as distraction.
yep. We're
And
We
learning.
should have just treated it like a normal. We didn't have to
treated it like
interpret
a
that.
normal week.
We
Yeah.
didn't have to
Yeah.
interpret that as anything. We could have just
Yeah.
ignored it. It's Halloween.
But we got
Sure,
away
Dan
from
Campbell was
our
not the only person in the world or in the NFL to dress up.
but we got away from our principles. Um, we did get distracted, and we paid for it. So that's
He's
a good.
It's the
intoxicating,
same
man.
thing with the moon. We don't have to just because it's not one thing doesn't mean we have to interpret it as the other. It can just be nothing. That's
Yeah.
all it can be. It doesn't. We don't have to try and turn it into something else.
I am looking up the difference between the waning and the waxing crescent moon, just for
It's
just
just the
for
way that it goes on and off.
um, the waxing crescent moon grows from a sliver after the new moon towards a half moon, meaning more is illuminated, while a waning crescent shrinks after the full moon, lit on the left in the northern hemisphere, back to a sliver, meaning less is illuminated. Got it.
Yeah, waxing and waning just means
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
growing or it's
Growing or
yeah.
shrinking. Yeah. All right. Let's get into the pick. So just to tee it up, what we were going over in the pre-show. So we'll each do our individual best bets. The Pats are in prime time this week against the Ravens. So they will be on the wheel, correct? Or are we auto locking?
That's our pick for the Sunday night game, but it's going to be
Yep.
on the wheel because there's only
Yeah.
yeah, because we're talking about Man Campbell, Sunday night football, Monday night football. That's three games that are fighting for two
Millie,
spots.
no.
And the reason that man Campbell is on is because the Lions are coming off a loss, which historically
Yes.
the trend points to the Lions being extremely profitable against the spread in that position. So
Yeah.
those are the picks. None of them are auto locks. We will let the wheel make the picks of those three. But we'll go through, we'll do our best bets. Then we'll each make a pick for the Monday night game. That will then get put on the wheel, and then we will spin the wheel for our final two picks.
Yep.
All right. All right, let's go to the wheel. Let's see who's up first.
All right. Let me shuffle these.
Oh my God. Oh,
All right. I think it's right that Zach leads off.
yeah,
Yeah,
I couldn't agree more.
yeah, I think it is. Well, I think I'm just a glutton for pain because I'm going back to the NFC North. I think I'm over on the year on trying to guess on a side of the NFC North. Going with the Bears at home. I think it's a pick 'em on the circus
Wait,
sheet,
I
but
just got,
it's
but can we get Saturday games in, Tristan?
oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, we've missed the deadline on that.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
Oh boy. You know what
No,
though?
no. Let me
No,
just.
this might be
This is
good for you,
probably good
Bowen.
because I feel like
This is
anytime
probably
Zach has
good.
started off with like, I've never won this spot, I've been chasing this. I feel like we've had like three or four instances of
I
that this
got, I
year.
got, I got one. All right, Chargers plus 2.5 in Dallas. Um, I think they, I think they are a much better team than the Cowboys. They have a really good defense. The Chargers are able to run the ball. They they've even with the offensive line woes, they've been able to sustain a run game. Herbert, even with his left hand being broken, is still a good quarterback. And I just think Harbaugh is going to be able to scheme up that defense, enough to have his way with the Cowboys and win outright. Cowboys defense is really, really poor. We see it week in and week out with them. They have moments of being an okay defense, and then month-long spells of being a terrible defense. I don't think they're going to get right against this Chargers offense. That's kind of a no-nonsense, bring it down into the mud, and kind of run right into your face, kind of offense. Um, Cowboys offense, they're great. They have a lot of good players, but I think the Chargers are just going to be able to score at will against this poor Cowboys defense, and also pair that with a really really good defense that's been playing like a top ten unit in the league pretty much all year. So also the Chargers are still playing for something, and the Cowboys aren't. The Cowboys, I believe, are officially eliminated, or will need like every mathematical thing to work out for them in their favor. So Chargers are still playing for playoff seeding, playoff position, and the Cowboys aren't, which I think does matter for a team like the Cowboys. I don't know if we're gonna get the same buy-in from some of the guys on the team because there is nothing to technically play for. We're kind of in that section of the season where we might see some guys bail a little early or not play with the same energy they would if they were still playing for something. So I like the Chargers plus 2.5 just to win outright in Dallas.
What's the deal with Dallas? I mean, if Green Bay wins today, they're done, right?
I think
It's
they
a,
are
They're
done. I
Dallas
think
is
they are done.
technically still in it, but there's like zero room for error. So I mean,
yeah.
it's out of their hands. I don't know exactly what the scenarios are, but yeah, they
I think
need
I think they need
everything
to
to
win
go right.
out and they need Green Bay to lose out.
Yeah, and then the Chargers, they're two back of Denver. They do have the head-to-head tiebreaker right now, with a Week 18 matchup coming up against Denver. So, I mean, losable game for the Broncos this week against Jacksonville. So, if the Chargers can win this one, then they keep their hopes alive for a chance to steal the division in Week 18. Which I'm hoping that we at least get that scenario for the game because that could end up being a really good matchup,
Yeah,
especially in Week
that'd be
18 where a
awesome.
lot of games might not matter at all. So. The Chargers, that was my number one pick. Yeah, I think Zach, you pretty much covered all of it. I mean, I think the run game can really get going this week. I could see both running backs having a good time, but also Dallas, they run zone coverage at a high rate. In this passing game, they tend to do better against zone coverage. That's where Ladd and Keenan Allen can really shine. And then, like I said, with everything going on with the ground game, I think it's a good spot for them. I'm actually kind of surprised to see them as underdogs here. I don't
Yeah.
know if there's something I'm missing there. Maybe that's a bad thing. But yeah, I think getting points in this scenario is always great.
Yeah, it was high on my card. Herbert 17-12-1 ATS as an underdog, 13-6 against the spread on the road, neutral site. Dak's bad at home against the spread after a loss. And yeah, I look at these two teams and I'm like, you got one team that just got their number one running back, playing very inspired. They're in it. Like they're in it.
Yeah.
And it's a good looking football team. They're gonna be competitive. And Dallas is dead, right? And it's the same old Cowboys. So yeah, I think like this is one of those situations where maybe we are walking into a trap, but I'm just kind of like I'm okay with it. I just look at this and I'm like that's the side I want to be on, and I'm if after this game's over, and the Cowboys happen to win this thing, and we're like, well, if it looks and smells like a trap, it probably is. I'm just gonna be like, all right, it is what it is. I'm on the Chargers here. I like the pick.
All right.
Cool. Also, I'm so sorry to the Bears. There's literally zero chance that they win this game now after I just declared them as my pick and then I couldn't pick them. I mean, there's no chance the Bears win outright in
For
that
what it's
game now.
worth, I don't like the Bears at all. Packers run a bunch of zone coverage. The Bears passing game, that's a man beating team right there. I
Hey,
think that they're
yo.
gonna lean on the ground game a little bit, and I have Manangai as one of my guys today, but the Bears, they play man coverage at a high rate, and that's exactly where Jordan Love kind of dissects these defenses. So no Christian Watson, that always hurts, but I mean literally every receiver on the Packers is made to beat man coverage. So I like it on that side. All right, back to it.
Back to it.
Wait, Tristan, what is it? Like a 24-hour thing for the deadline? Um, for picks?
Yeah, yeah. Basically, I think if we wanted the Saturday games, we had to have it in before like 5 o'clock yesterday.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, Benjamin.
I'm taking one of my teams this year. I'm taking the Browns plus 10.5 against the Bills. Um, I think it's going to be a low scoring game. I think that this Browns defense is fantastic, right? You got Myles Garrett going for the sack record this week. And I think he only needs what, like 1.5 to do it.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's definitely very doable. But yeah, I think it's just too many points in a game where I'm not expecting too much, and I'm not seeing much of an offensive advantage for the Bills this week. Of course, they can always just lean on Josh Allen and James Cook to give them a heightened floor. And if this was inside of a touchdown, then maybe I'd be looking at them to win. But yeah, I think this many points, you're looking at two scores, a touchdown and a field goal here. I think this offense can keep it close enough. I think that the run game for the Browns can, keep them in it. I think that's probably their key to success is just lean on that and limit the opportunities for Shadur to make any sort of mistake. But yeah, 10.5 points, low scoring game. I really like this Browns defense. I've kind of been pumping their tires all year, saying that I think, and I don't even know what their against the spread record is, but we've seen them have some really good and some really surprising wins this year, and they've also kept some games close that maybe people didn't expect them to do so. So yeah, I mean, I'm going to take them at that number, especially with that defense.
Yeah, I was leaning the other side. It was on my card, but further down. I also fully recognize it could be, kind of a snap overreaction to, what Allen and the Bills were able to pull off last week against the Pats. Obviously didn't look good in the first half. Looked fantastic in the second half, coming all the way back from 21-0. Meanwhile, the Browns, 31-3 last week, and a loss, like didn't look great, couldn't get anything going. But I think as we often see in the NFL too, you have two teams coming from two totally different places on the spectrum, and
Mhm.
they come head to head, and the the result ends up being the complete opposite. One team has a letdown game, the other team has a bounce back. Because they got a lot of pride and know they can do better and know they can perform better. I think too, like, Shador is one of those guys for whatever people want to say and think about his character. Like he's got a lot of pride and belief in himself, and he's not going to lay down after a 31-3. Like he's still trying to establish himself as the starter, so he's going to go out there and play hard. Judkin's great player. That Bills defense, you know, is uh is Swiss cheese. They give up a lot of points.
Mhm.
And it could be a good week for the Browns to kind of, find themselves offensively again. And maybe, I know Kieran, you were saying it's a low scoring game, but at the very least have the ability to put enough points on the board that they can stay within the numbers. So um yeah, it's one of those games, like again, it was low, like Bills were low on my card. They were on my card, but it's a big number, so can totally see it being the other way.
You're never as good or as bad as your last game.
Hmm.
Something I like to say.
Yep.
Because I think the easiest thing you can do is make a bet based off of how a team looked last week, and I feel like that never works.
Yeah. No, exactly. So
Word. Nope, you guys covered everything. I got nothing really to add. Bills off a big emotions game is I like the fade spot there, especially with it being 10.5 points. It's really, man, that's a huge number. So like it.
it is at a human level. Imagine having to go from being in Foxborough with the chance at the division on the line, coming back from 21 nothing. Now you got to go to Cleveland. I could see why people have letdown spots, I could see it. So,
Yeah, it's a little
um,
different. A little
could be
different
could,
feel.
could be a letdown spot for
Yep.
sure.
And they
Yep.
also just looked awful for a full half. Like, I
They
mean,
did,
I
yeah.
know it's,
Yeah.
it's easy to just like the taste they left in our mouths was that second half. What was it? Five straight possessions with a score to come back, do all that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they did that, and like, I mean, Drake May still led them down the field, and they still got the lead back for a second and everything
Yeah.
too. So it's like, I mean, a couple different breaks. I know a lot of people were going at the refs last week, but you know,
Yeah.
literally one or two plays break a different way, and all of a sudden that comeback was all for naught. So, I think even talking about the result last week, I think that there's a more nuanced way to look at it and say, it's not like they just went in there and just stomped the Pats out either.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I don't think I sent this to you, but Pup sent me an article from one of those clickbait accounts
Yeah.
saying that all the ref all the refs from that Pats Bills game had been suspended. And he goes, "Is this true?" And I was like,
Oh, he sent that to me too, and I couldn't see the link. Like there was no thumbnail or anything, so I screenshotted it and texted him, and I said, "Did you actually send?" Because it looked like something that like a hacked account would send. So uh,
I mean,
I was like, "Is this real?" Like
which is basically what it is, right?
yeah,
Like, yeah. But I did respond just to continue to educate him on the internet that
yeah, because he's like sent me like one message on Facebook since he made his account. This was
yeah,
the second time, so I was like, "This just seems." I'm not clicking on that link. I can't say what it is, and I don't want to find out.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, it turns out it actually was him. So I told him, I was like, well, you kind of type like a bot. But
yeah. Uh,
all right, to the wheel.
for the wheel.
All right.
All right. Um, taking the Jags +3 against the Broncos. This is one part manifestation, one part belief in vibes, and one part data. Um, we talked about this a little while ago, but this is actually a pretty significant game in terms of the seeding order for the AFC. Because right now, the Broncos are like squarely in command of that number one seed. And they got the Chiefs next week, which, I mean, frankly, I know nothing's a guarantee in the NFL, but that should be a guaranteed win. Um, but they need to, if they win this week, I feel like the number one seed is theirs. Like, and everybody else is going to be playing for second. But if the Jaguars can pull this off, all of a sudden you got a number of teams that could be in the mix for that number one seed. The Pats included, the Bills could be in the mix. The Jaguars themselves could find themselves in the mix. The Chargers obviously playing the Cowboys, so it could really kind of throw that race for the one seed into complete chaos, which could be really, really fascinating. I also just love the way that this Jaguar team looks right now. Like they just seem to be firing on all cylinders. Two of the last 3 weeks, I think they've given up like less than 10 points, 6 points or less. Dominant win last week was it over the Jets, and like offensively, they are hitting on everything. Like that run game looks fantastic. ETN obviously is significantly healthier than he was last season because he looks electric, especially when, he gets out in open space. The Trevor Lawrence has looked very good and has had some great performances. Um, and then, just looking at some of the data, Trevor Lawrence has been profitable against the spread off a win. He's 19-3 ATS off a win. He's 10-4 ATS off a win by more than 10 points. So seems like a guy that kind of feeds off of confidence coming off of a big win. Um, Broncos have now won 11 consecutive games outright entering the week, including 12 consecutive home games outright as well. Since 1990, teams on an 11 plus game win streak have been inflated and struggled to cover, going 14, 36, and 2 against the spread. Um, and lastly, like I am manifesting this. Broncos lost. The Pats get back in it, especially if they have to win tomorrow night, obviously against the Ravens. But would love to see that Broncos loss so the Pats can get back in the hunt. So I'm on the Jags +3.
I like to pick a lot. They were on my card as well. I didn't have the plums to go against the Broncos 2 weeks in a row. with how last week went. That was kind of one of my main reasons for keeping them lower on the card. Um, but yeah, no, everything you said. I mean, the Jags are playing like one of the best teams in the NFL right now. I think over the past few weeks at least. I mean, Jacoby Myers has been a revelation for them. Just getting
Hmm.
him in there with Brian Thomas and with the rest of their guys going. Um, just like that, veteran NFL like really good receiver presence has been good for Trevor, good for seemingly everybody around him. And he got signed this week.
Yeah.
I think a 3 year, 60 mil deal. As kind of further proof of how they feel about him. So, I think everything's kind of rolling for them right now. The vibes are up, and I like being on the side for this game.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely going to be a close game. I don't expect either team to blow the other
Definitely.
out, barring a collapse. But Jacksonville's definitely the side that I would lean on. I just think the passing game can get it going a little bit. Denver runs a bunch of man coverage. I think Jacoby Myers could be a good touchdown guy there. He's been doing really well against man coverage. But then also I was checking because I was curious, right? He came over from Vegas, same division as Denver. He actually managed to avoid both of the Raiders matchups against Denver this year, but he still gets them now. But historically, the last 2 years in Vegas, when he played Denver, he's actually played extremely well against the Broncos as well. I think it's a good spot for Jacoby Myers. He scored three straight with Jacksonville following the trade, and then didn't score last week. But I think this is a good time for him to get back into the end zone. And yeah, I think ETN can have a good time, good time on the ground, and also be pretty active in the pass game like we saw him last week. So, I think would it surprise me if this was like a defensive kind of low scoring battle? Definitely not. But I definitely like the Jacksonville offense a little bit more than I like Denver's offense this week.
Okay.
All right.
All right, so now we're onto the wheel, right? So we're gonna do
Yep.
the Monday night game, figure out what's gonna go on there. But I have Patriots man Campbell on the wheel for now.
Yep.
Let me share it over.
Monday night, 49ers Colts,
Yep.
Yep, five and a
five and
half
a
point
half.
spread. Who's at home? Is it in San Francisco?
Colts.
Or it's in, okay, Indy.
Yep.
All right. All right. Notes forward. Oh, hold on 1 second. I mean, obviously, I'm on the Colts here. I'm going to take the underdogs in these primetime spots. That's just how I like to go. But, kind of in the same nature of a couple of the games that I've mentioned already, I could see this one also being a low scoring battle. I'm not seeing overwhelming advantages on either side. So, especially when we're talking about the Niners being 5.5 point favorites on the road, I'm not seeing enough to convince me to lay those points and, look for them to win by more of a touchdown. Of course, that can always happen. This is a very good Niners team. I actually just hopped on them to win the Super Bowl, but I think this is one of those spots where, like I said earlier, you're never as good or as bad as you looked last week. The Niners, they're starting to put things together. The Colts, they lost a close game, but that offense did look a little miserable. I know people are talking about what's going to happen. Anthony Richardson, his practice window just opened up. What's going to happen when he's good to go? I do think the move would be you could go back to him. I think that quarterback battle was closer than people realize in the preseason. I understand that Richardson's time in Indy might be running out, especially if they want to give Jones a long-term deal coming off of that injury. But I'm looking at it. I think this could be a good Tyler Warren game. We know Philip Rivers. We know that he loves his tight ends. The Niners, they've actually been like the worst team at defending tight ends over the last 5 games. They allowed the most touchdowns to tight ends over the last 5 games. And Tyler Warren, he's going against the Niners defense that plays a ton of cover three. They do it at the fifth highest rate in the league. And Warren has some success against cover three as well. So I think we could see some success in the passing game there. Maybe Jonathan Taylor can start to get back to what he was looking like for most of the season. Since Jones went down, he's been pretty miserable out of the backfield. But yeah, I mean, I think that there's just not enough that I'm seeing to convince me that the Niners or convince me or and give me the confidence that the Niners are going to blow them out. So I think this Colts defense, they can play really well. We saw what they were able to do against the Seahawks last week, and keep that Colts offense in the game. So give me that 5.5 points.
Oh wow. I'm on the Colts as well. Plus 5.5. Um, watching a good bit of that game last week against the Seahawks for the Colts. Um, I mean, we saw them just give up a lot of points this past week, but that Seahawks defense is for real. And Phil Rivers actually looked pretty good, relatively to expectation, or as a 45-year-old guy, kind of off the street. So I think he's going to find a bit more success passing the ball, against this Niners defense, especially with what Kieran had just said about, they are soft against tight ends. Tyler Warren is a stud. He kind of has fallen off a little bit statistically wise, so I do think they have some, the Colts will have some incentive to get that guy the ball, try to build up his confidence. Whether they're in the playoffs or not, he's going to be a playmaker for them going down or going forward. Whether it be the rest of this year, next year, every year that he's with them. So I think that they're going to try to feed him the ball. Jonathan Taylor, like you said, Kieran, has been tough. He's been getting obviously the carries, but the they're filling the box on him. Like every team that he's playing has 8 guys in the box. It's hard to run against that regardless of who you are. Um, but the Niners are pretty soft against the run too. All year they're not like some world-beating team or like the Niners of old where their defense is locked down. I mean, obviously they have some big injuries this year with Nick Bosa and Fred Warner, but they are not those guys. Those guys are not out there this week, and I think that they'll be able to find a bit of success, especially to keep it within that number, but to even flirt with winning outright, I think is not out of the question. Especially because, I mean, the Colts are kind of in that same spot, right? They need to win this game to have any chance to get in. So I uh, I like the hungrier dog. Um, you know, running a bit faster in prime time this week just to keep it within that number.
Taylor might not even finish as the league leader in yards now. That's how bad of a stretch it's been. He's now only 28 yards ahead of James Cook,
Hmm.
um, with only
That's
one
wild.
carry. And
Also, why I was looking at that the other day, and I was shocked to see that James Cook was the next guy.
Yeah,
I did not expect that.
yeah, I mean, he's actually now I'm looking at his game log. He's just been on like an insane run since the end of October. Last week of October, he had 216 yards against Carolina. And then so he's gone 216, 114, 53, 48, 116, 144, 80, 107. So he's
that'll
just
that'll
really
do
turned it up.
it. That'll definitely do it.
Hmm.
Yeah, 200-yard game always helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see what he's
Yep.
averaging. Let me do the numbers on that. Um, all right. One last spin, right?
Yep.
I'm on the Niners, minus 5.5. Um, I like, Kieran, when you texted, what was it? I don't know if it was last night or the night before or whatever, but about your pick on the Niners, I like it a lot. Very quiet, under the radar team. The 4-0 against the spread since Purdy came back. I think I want to verify this, although I trust that what Action Network has already been verified, I would hope. But all four of those wins by double digits. I mean, not that they're out there against like world beaters. I mean, it's the Titans, the Browns, the Panthers, and the Cardinals. Panthers probably the only like real competitive team in that mix, but they're taking care of business. They look good, and right now they're healthy. McCaffrey's been great, obviously. Kittle's, stayed healthy. Jawan Jennings has been a TD vulture, especially when they get, inside the red zone. Pearsall's been back. So, it's a good looking football team. I like him. Purdy's also very good in night games. He's 9-6 against the spread as a favorite in night games. I know Rivers came in. It was a good story last week. Looked good. Well, I shouldn't say look good. Like kept them in the game. But I mean, I couldn't help but laugh. Like, when the Seahawks kicked that field goal to take the lead and they've got like 20 seconds left, and then like it required Rivers to have to throw a ball more than 15 yards downfield, and then he just threw an absolute duck that got picked off very next play. And I was just like, this is quintessential Phillip Rivers. He is so back. Like, but I just yeah, I just feel like right now the 49ers are in a better spot, better team. I think they can cover the 5.5, but all that being said, we're on the Colts.
All right. I've added them to the wheel.
All right.
So we're spinning for 2 here.
Yep. So you'll spin it, delete, we'll log the pick,
Yeah.
delete it, and then spin again.
Look at that.
Hell of a wheel.
This is fate.
What's the spread on that game? Do you have it?
7, I think. I want to say.
One sec.
Could be wrong.
Playing Steel.
Lions are -7.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Tight. All right. Look at that.
Wow. I thought it was gonna blow through, and it almost
My
Like it-
wheel was delayed. I couldn't even see like the end. The ending kind of just stopped. It was like
It-
going and then it lagged and then stopped.
it looked like a professional chip shot where like the ball just checks up, settles right next to the hole. That's what the wheel looked like it did right there.
Wow, Lions and Pats, huh?
Yeah, that was a great
Special. That's special.
great wheel. All
Pass
right, so
on-
just to recap the picks here.
+3.
Pats are +3. Yep. All right, Kieran, you're on the Browns +10.5 against the Bills. Bowen, you've got the Chargers +2.5 against the Cowboys. I'm on the Jags +3 against the Broncos. We have the Lions -7 against the Steelers at home, coming off a loss. And then we got the Patriots +3 against the Ravens in Baltimore Sunday night.
All right.
This one, this one could be 5-0. That card just feels clean. That card feels really clean.
It's
Yeah,
it's a very
I
nice
do
card.
think it's not a coincidence that we, kind of talk through things with the man Campbell. We left it up to
Yeah.
the wheel, and even with us being split on the primetime game, it kept that game off the card, and we get our Patriots and we get the Lions. So it does feel like that is the universe turning in our favor.
We have 4 dogs, which I kind of like.
Yeah, that is nice.
And then the one favorite we have is it's a smash spot that survived the
We
wheel.
have four dogs and a man.
That's right. We got 4 dogs and a man that's got that dog in him. So
Yeah,
we have
All
5
I'll
dogs.
say is, think about how good it feels when you look at the card and see all these underdogs. Maybe you two should just take that into consideration.
come on.
Well, hold on. We do have this recorded, so this may be something we need to pull that clip next week. Let's see how it goes.
Oh, see, this is the thing. This is exactly what I was talking about, though. 1 week doesn't mean anything. 1 week doesn't mean anything. Historically, underdogs cover.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, I'm an underdog guy here. I like to pick underdogs. That's been my MO. And, I've, had a decent record for the last couple of years. So that's all I'm saying. Just
we will
consider it.
we will see. We'll get back together
Just
in a
because
week.
they're a favorite doesn't mean they're a safe pick.
All right. It's in. 5-0. Let's do it.
5-0.
All right,
All
we
right.
need it.
Bye.
5.